Much has been made of the 2019 statement by the Business Roundtable that 183 of their 200 member CEOs have committed to operate their companies in the interests of all their stakeholders, not just the shareholders. This statement on the purpose of the corporation is, for me, a bit of a throwback. I was involved in the 1970s in the preparation of an earlier Business Roundtable statement, a statement on corporate social responsibility, which mirrored almost exactly the commitments and concerns in the 2019 statement. The 1981 statement had virtually no impact, and I'm afraid the 2019 statement is headed in the same direction. Between those two, the Business Roundtable even did an about-face, and for many years has advocated concern only for the interests of the shareholder and not for the other stakeholders. Let me tell you why I think we can't expect the Business Roundtable to save us, to make business orient itself more dramatically towards the interests of consumers and shareholders, consumers and employees and communities beyond shareholders. I unfortunately think that the corporation will continue to function and CEOs will continue to make decisions which favor just long-term self-interest, if we're lucky, but most often short-term self-interest, which produces the greatest compensation for themselves and the greatest short-term bang for the buck on stock value. Here's the reasons I think things will not be different. Number one, the commitment in the 2019 statement is so general. It includes no specifics which would bind these 183 executives to do anything in particular. The 1981 statement at least had a set of recommendations about what management and boards might do, but not the current statement. It's one page long compared to the multi-page document in 1981. There's no way for us to check up 1 year from now or 10 years from now whether the particular CEOs or the particular companies have made any progress against their commitment. Secondly, it doesn't appear to represent any change from current operating procedure. A creative group at the Harvard Law School, the Governance Project, asked the companies whether the CEOs had taken this new commitment represented in the statement, or presumably a new commitment, had taken it to the board of directors for discussion and validation. Virtually none had done so, which indicates to me that it was simply business as usual. One more, I hate to say it, public relations exercise to try to satisfy the public's expectation that corporations would be good guys. The third reason I think it's not going to have an impact is that it continues to confuse, the CEOs continue to confuse corporate social responsibility with operating the company by a different purpose. They believe that as long as there are a few things they do for society with some of the slack resources, some philanthropy, some volunteerism, or occasionally they'll take an initiative which surprises us because it's also good for employees or good for the environment, but it's really based upon either short or long-term profit maximization. That's as much as they think they're obligated to, and that there is no real turning away from their fundamental commitment to profit maximization and their own compensation. The fourth reason I think we're not going to make any progress through the Business Roundtable statement is that executives are really too comfortable today with the excessive compensation, in my view, that they receive. Compensation was held down dramatically in the post-war era by executives who had a different philosophy, frankly, than executives today. They faced a different stock market, a different set of expectations from investors, certainly. But today, the executives are very comfortable with substantial salaries and the discipline that the market applies to them, that they should produce short-term profits that can be measured in quarters and not on the longer term. What can we hope for at this moment? I think a few executives will be motivated to think creatively about enlightened self-interest, how long-term profitability can be also good for the employees. So there may be gestures, greater help for the environment, greater help for employee rights, but all of those will be grounded in profit maximization, I would predict. And I also expect that there's a cynicism that reigns amongst many of those executives, and we'll see it pop up now and again, that this was simply a PR gesture. And so we will see a few of those executives, unfortunately, make statements that demonstrate that this commitment was not substantive. I hope that without a World War, World War II, which may have produced a bit of a different philosophy amongst management, I hope that we don't need a war, or we don't need national crisis to provoke a new understanding by executives that the interests of the company and its long-term survival and even its long-term profitability require a genuine commitment to the interests of consumers and employees, the community, its business partners, as well as its shareholders.